Hi, we're going to take a quick look at adding and subtracting fractions. So start from the basics, where we add fractions with the same denominator. This is pretty straightforward because if I sort of pretend this is a pizza, in this case all my slices are the same size, which makes it easy working out how much I have. So one slice plus two slices will give me three slices altogether. Adding some numbers to that, here I have 1/5 because there are 5 slices altogether, plus 2/5 gives me 3/5 altogether. Key rule in working these out is you add together the top numbers, the numerators, but you do not change the denominators. This number here, this 5, only tells you how many slices your pizza's cut into, not how many slices you actually have, so it should not change. Okay? We can do the exact same idea with subtracting. So here I have 3 slices out of 7, so I'm doing 3/7, take away 2 slices out of 7, and the same rule applies. You are just going to take away your top numbers, so 3 minus 2 is 1, and keep your bottom numbers the same. And again, you see that if I look on my answer, I've taken away 2 slices, I'm left with 1, and I have 1 slice out of 7 altogether. Okay, so examples with the same idea as that. All you need to do is add the top numbers together, keeping the bottom numbers the same. So 11 plus 10 is 21, and this stays as 24. For part B, we're subtracting. Always check whether you're plus or subtracting. 70 take away 60 is 10, and this number does not change. Okay, so question for you to try. Feel free to pause and give them a go. I'll go through the answers in a few seconds now. Okay, those shouldn't have been too bad. Just keep in mind for some of the more awkward questions, you might want to do some sort of column addition or subtraction to work out the number on the top, to work out the numerator. Okay, now we're on to the hard questions. This is where we want to add and subtract fractions with different denominators. So again, back to the pizza analogy, these pieces aren't the same slices, so it's hard to work out how much we end up with altogether. So let's do the best we can. We know at the start I've got half a pizza, and here I have 1 slice out of 6. We're going to combine those, but if we look at the picture, it's not obvious how much pizza I have there. Okay, it's a bit over a half, but we don't know how the 6 is going to fit in with that half. What we need to do for these questions is we must first cut up these pizzas so they're all the same size, all my slices are the same. So if I go to this pizza, if I add 2 slices here, now all these slices are the same. Each piece is the same size for each sides. That means we can rewrite this. This is no longer 1/2 because I have 3 slices now, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slices altogether. And now it's just like what we were just doing. I'm going to add together my top numbers. I'll keep the bottom numbers the same. So now I have 4 sixes of my pizza. So the golden rule is before you can add and subtract fractions with different denominators, you must rewrite them in some form so that we get the same denominator, so we get the same bottom number. Let's see how that works out in examples. So step 1, you must find a common denominator. Let's write that down. What I mean by that is we're looking for a number that goes into 3 and 5, or 3 and 5 goes into it. What you need to do, or the quickest way to do it, is just times these numbers together. So your common denominator will always be your 2 bottom numbers times together. So 3 times 5 is 15. That means I'm going to rewrite both these fractions as something over 15. The way you work it out is we use the equivalent fractions skills that we should already have. We're going to work out what missing number goes here. So what have I times 3 by to get to 15? That is going to be 5, because 3 times 5 is 15. So therefore, I must also do 2 times 5. What you do to the bottom, you must also do to the top. So 2 times 5 is 10. Doing the same for the right hand side, we're going to work out how many 5s go into 15. which in this case is 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Do the same to the top. 1 times 3 is going to be 3. And now we've got a nice expression to work out. All you need to do is just add the top numbers together. So 10 plus 3 is 13, and it is 13 out of 15. Quick hint if you're interested. The number you times by will always be the denominator for the other fraction. So for the over 3 fraction, we times it by 5, and for the over 5 fraction, we times it by 3. That can save you a bit of time. Okay, over example, here we're subtracting, but it's the exact same idea. I'm going to want to find a common denominator. So common denominator, we start by timesing these numbers together. So if I do 2 times 3, that's going to be 6. That over there is your common denominator. Okay, so I'm going to write both these fractions as something over 6, and we're going to work out what these two missing numbers are. So how many 2's go into 6? That is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So I must also do 1 times 3. 1 times 3 is just 3. Same thing here. How many 3's into 6? That is going to be 2. So I do 1 times 2, which is just 2. And then same as before, we just take away the two top numbers, and we are left with 1 over 6. Okay, this is a fairly advanced skill, so take your time with it. If you're unclear, play that back to something that makes sense to you. If you're happy with it, we have some questions for you to try. Again, I'll pause it, give it a go. I'll go for the answers now, just for the questions in black, which are as follows. Okay, so in each case, that's my final answer. I've just included a bit of working out, as should you do, on what the fractions were with common denominators. Okay, last thing on this video is going to be a bit of work to do with mixed numbers. I'll go through two examples, and I'll spend time going through them where these mixed numbers come up. So first we have example A. It's the same kind of thing we were just doing. Step 1, we need to find a common denominator. So we times these numbers together. 5 times 3 is 15, so that is my common denominator. I'm going to write both these numbers as something over 15. How many 5's in 15 is 3, this number over here. And how many 3's in 15 is 5, this number over here. So we times them up. 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 5 is 10. Fairly straightforward, the exact same thing we've just been doing. However, this time, when we add the numbers together, add the fractions together, 10 plus 9 gives us 19 over 15. This fraction here is top heavy. And typically, for all our answers, we want our fractions to be mixed number. And this is a top heavy fraction. So before we finish, we need to write this as a mixed number fraction. To do that, you need to work out how many 15's go into 19. 15's into 19 is just 1, and there are 4 left over because 19 is 4 higher than 15. So it's going to be 1 and 4 15ths, and that is your final answer. So not much changed, we just had one final extra step at the end, so always check, do you have a top heavy fraction or not? Just another example. In this case, we have a mixed number in the question. Before we can do anything in terms of solving it, we need to write this as a top heavy fraction. So recall how to do that. We do 1 times 2, these two numbers times together, and then we add this number on here. So 1 times 2 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. Which means 1.5 is the same as 3 over 2. And now we have this question to do, and it is the exact same idea as before. We find a common denominator, 2 times 5 is 10. Here I am timesing by 5. Here I am timesing by 2. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 2 is 8. And then we just take away the numerators, just take away the top numbers. 15 take away 8 is 7, so it is 7 over 10. Okay, so with these questions, there's a little extra to do, but by and large, it's the exact same skill. Last few questions to try. You should find them pretty straightforward as long as you take your time, remember those rules. Feel free to pause, give them a go. Answers to the questions in black are on the screen now. Okay, and again, I've included both my key working out, just in case you get stuck and follow through what I've done. Okay, thanks for listening. Hope that made sense, and good luck.